And you already know what time it is. It's your player partner, Mack B. Welcome back to Sports Hop. I'm back at it, back in the building. I'm in the building. Shout out to Solomon, who's also in the building. We appreciate all the love. And before you do anything else, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join the movement here at Sports Hop. We appreciate the support. We are growing and building and branding every single day. And with that being said, we got a busy show, so we're going to dive right in. Week 14 of the NFL season. A lot of surprises thus far in the league. A lot of upsets. A lot of teams getting knocked off. Also, unfortunately, a lot of injuries to talk about. But we're going to talk about the playoff picture, and things are kind of unfolding now a little bit. Things are kind of, revealing what is really going down. Some teams I still can't figure the hell out what they're doing. Other teams are surprise teams that really caught me off guard going into the 2025-2026 campaign. And speaking of surprise teams, shout out to Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. Best record in the league as of today's show. They're 11-2. They're a team that lost 13 games last year. And then Vrabel came in, former Patriot, changing the culture, doing what he does. It's all about the New England way of doing things. The Patriots are definitely viable again. Well-respected franchise. We know what they did for years with Brady and Belichick. But it's a new regime now in Foxborough, and I like what I'm seeing out of Vrabel and the Patriots. I think that they're going to basically capture the number one seed in the AFC based on the remaining games. It's really Denver and New England neck and neck. I think New England is going to get the number one seed in the AFC. They're playing great football. If you asked me at the beginning of the year, Solomon, who's going to win the AFC East? I would have went all in on the Bills because we're just so used to Buffalo dominating that division. But there's a changing of the guard. Hold up. The Patriots and Vrabel said, pump the brakes. We know who we are. There's a changing of the guard. And I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Drake May is developing right in front of us. I love his growth. I love his maturity. I like how he's reading the line of scrimmage. He's making plays. He's audibling. The Patriots defensively and on special teams are really shining. So shout out to the whole New England organization and Mike Vrabel and everybody who's doing what they do. And of course, Mr. Kraft. And I'm not talking about mac and cheese either, even though that's my favorite, right? So shout out to Bob Kraft and what they're doing in New England. I love the culture. I love what's going on. And the Patriots are going to be my choice in terms of capturing home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Speaking of home cooking, we're going to go to my number 2 pick, who's going to finish, I think, with the second best record in the AFC. I think it's the Denver Broncos in the Mile High City, my old stomping ground. Shout out to Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Shout out to the whole squad, the whole organization in Denver with the Walmart Group coming in, new ownership. Bo Nix is in his second year in the league. I really like what he's doing, but which Bo Nix is going to show up? That's the magic question, because he's been up and down this year in the 2025 campaign. Sometimes you get the Bo Nix that's erratic, that can't stay in the pocket, that won't set his feet when he throws the football, making poor decisions. Just too hyper, a lot of anxiety. I don't know where it comes from, but I've seen him at times display those kind of tendencies. And then the other night on the road in Washington against a tough Commanders squad, he made some key plays. He made some plays early, middle, and late in the game. So I like his decision-making. I think that Bo Nix has a lot of potential. Former Oregon Duck. He definitely has a lot of room to grow, but I do like the direction that he's going in from time to time. The only thing I see in Bo Nix is we need a little bit more consistency out of him. Sean Payton has done a good job of managing him and getting him acclimated to the system. And Sean Payton, who I question, I'm not going to front. I questioned the Broncos when they first brought him on board. I wasn't too sure how that would play out. But Father Time is not caught up to Sean Payton at all. He knows what the hell he's doing. Proof is in the pudding all the years down in the bayou with the Saints and Drew Brees. Sean Payton is a player's coach. I like what they're doing defensively. Vance Joseph, former Broncos head coach many years back, defensive coordinator for Denver. He may get consideration for another head coaching spot with what he's doing with that defense. Defensively, Denver's top 3 in the league. They lead the NFL in sacks. You got Bonito, Nick Bonito coming off on the outside. They've got a lot of good rushers coming off the edges. Denver can get to the quarterback. And defensively, if you're going to advance in the postseason and you're going to make moves and you're going to win football games, you got to have a strong defense. One thing that does concern me, Solomon, is that the Broncos lead the NFL in penalties. So they make a lot of mistakes offensively and on the defensive side of the ball. But I see more of the mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. Denver leads the league in penalties. That can come back to haunt them in the postseason. And I also see that Denver will sometimes play down to the level of competition. Even though roster-wise, they're a better team, sometimes they don't play up to their level of potential. And that's something to be concerning. So I'm growing more faith every week in the Broncos, but do I have complete trust in Denver, particularly to win late in the year on the road, high-pressure situations? That remains to be seen if they can close the deal. What are your thoughts on the Patriots and on the Broncos? They may have a head-to-head clash coming in the next month or so. What are you thinking here with New England and Denver? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm impressed with New England. I feel like they finally found their quarterback. I mean, they've been searching for a while now.
Yeah.
And they've gone through, from Cam Newton to whoever was they drafted. I forget. The guy.
Drake May.
Yeah. Well, before that, they had somebody else. But anyway, yeah, I'm happy for them that they found their quarterback.
Zappy. That's who they had.
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
Yeah.
And so they look strong. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's the team of old or anything like that or carries that. I think they're just a new team with new energy. But don't count out Kansas City, Buffalo. I know you haven't gotten to who you think is going to win it all.
Yeah.
Number 1 seed, but I like the Bills. I'd love for my Dolphins to do something, but even if they did make the playoffs, it'd probably be a first round exit or something like that. So
right.
That's what I'm thinking right now.
Well, it's going to be interesting. We still got 4 weeks left in the regular season before the playoffs happen. But another team that's on the rise, my pick to win the AFC South, is the Houston Texans. Shout out to the Texans and DeMeco Ryans. CJ Stroud coming back from that concussion he suffered about 3 weeks ago in the Denver game. Houston defensively is the number 1 defense in the league. They've got a lot of speed on the edges. They can get to the football. I love how aggressive they are on defense. DeMeco Ryans, a former defensive player, he's got Houston playing at a very high level. And the Texans have been surging. If I'm not mistaken, I think they've won 4 straight. They're just a game behind the Colts currently as this show airs as we speak. Behind the Colts 1 game in the division race. You got Jacksonville, you got the Colts, and you got the Texans all kind of sandwiched together there. But I like the culture in Houston. I love what DeMeco Ryans is instilling in the Texans. They're a young team. They're hungry. They've got some talent on the outside with Nico Collins. They've got a decent running game as well. I like what they're doing defensively. Like I said, I mean, they can get to the football, and they can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They can stop the run. Nobody really wants to play Houston right now. So watch out for the Texans. I think they're viable. I think they win that division. And we're going to see what they do in the playoffs. That'll be interesting to see the rest of the way. But shout out to H-Town. I got a lot of player partners over there that I need to come pull up and see. Moving on. We're going to head to Baltimore. The AFC North, the Ravens, despite a hiccup on Thanksgiving, maybe they had turkey hangover. Maybe those boys went in on that stuffing and that cranberry sauce a day early, and that turkey got to them because they were really methodical. and slow, Cincinnati woke them up and knocked them off their block and reminded them that Joe Burrow and them boys, despite their poor record, they can come in and win anywhere. I thought defensively, Cincinnati did a great job against the Ravens, made the proper adjustments. But Lamar Jackson, back from injury, I still don't think he's 100%. I really don't. John Harbaugh is an excellent coach. He's got a heavy load. There's a lot of pressure in Baltimore for the Ravens to not only win the division, but to make a deep playoff run. They haven't been to the Super Bowl in quite some time. Lamar Jackson got the bag. He knows what he's doing. They got Derrick Henry, an outstanding running back. But the Ravens, I can't figure them out. They're kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde. I think defensively, Solomon, they're vulnerable on the back end. They're giving up a lot of big plays down the field. I think they need to make better adjustments at the line of scrimmage. But I think there's some teams that match up well against Baltimore, because if you can neutralize the run and you stop Lamar Jackson from beating you with his legs and you force him to throw the football, he's already shown that he can be vulnerable to make some mistakes and turn the ball over. I still think, because the Steelers I have no faith in whatsoever. Aaron Rodgers is washed up. Yes, I said it. He's washed up. More than a bar of dial soap, y'all. He's washed up, right? The Bengals have dug a deep hole early in the year. They can't recover. They're 4-8. So even if they make a slight run, I don't see them winning the division. Cleveland is what it is. So I think the Ravens have the best opportunity to win the AFC North. What can they do in the postseason? So it doesn't impress me, Lamar and the Ravens in Baltimore, by winning the division. What are you going to do to show us that you're ready to take it to the next level? Okay, you're getting off the elevator every season on the 5th floor. I got news for you, Baltimore. The penthouse is on the 12th floor. So what are y'all going to do to prove me wrong and to show everybody else that you are a championship caliber team? You have a championship caliber roster, but you haven't been able to get it done. Solomon, my question to you is, do you have faith in Baltimore? Do you think that Lamar can take the next step and get the Ravens into Super Bowl contention? Can they get it done this year?
Yeah, well, Baltimore, just historically, they're a team that can play up when they need to.
Yeah.
When they go against certain people, they can play to that level of, just excellence. And so, especially on the defense, I think, they carry a chip on their shoulder. So I never count them out. Like you said, it's been a slow start without having Lamar in there at the beginning of the year, and he's going to get his legs under him, I think.
Yeah.
And the thing too is, while he can make mistakes, he's proven himself to be a real, dual threat. He's not the kind of quarterback who just run the ball and that's it. He can pass it. So I still think they have a chance. So we'll see.
Okay, and speaking of having a chance, that's a great segue, right? Because we're talking about the wild card teams in the AFC. There's 3 teams that are currently up for grabs to grab that last wild card spot. There's 3 teams that will make a wild card run and get selected to advance into the playoffs. The first team I'm going to talk about is the Indianapolis Colts. Shout out to Daniel Jones. Rest in peace to Jim Irsay, the great owner of the Colts. They've had played with a heavy heart all year. I do like what they're doing in Indy. Jonathan Taylor is a beast. Even when he's going to get the football, he can beat you at the line of scrimmage. He breaks more tackles than any other running back I've seen. So I like their running game. Daniel Jones is a warrior. He's been playing with a fractured leg. I believe it's like a fractured fibula or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a hairline fracture in one of his legs, and he's still out there playing. That says a lot about his competitive spirit and his heart. Daniel Jones has revitalized his career in Indy. I like what Shane Steichen is doing with the Colts. I will say this. In big game situations, particularly late, Daniel Jones has not yet shown me that he can get it done consistently. So he is a much better quarterback now than he was back in his Giant days. Shout out to the Colts and making the adjustments and rolling the dice on Daniel Jones, because I like what they're doing. They came out the gate fast, right? They had that big lead early on in the AFC South. but then teams like Jacksonville and Houston are surging. So I don't think the Colts win the division, but I think they'll win enough games to get in. Currently, they're 8-4. They are in first place as we speak. I think Houston is going to catch them and pass them up, but I think that Indy will get in with 11 wins. If they finish 11-6, I think the Colts will gallop into the wild card race, and anything's possible. Once you get in, you're in, so records don't really mean anything. So shout out to Indy and that organization and Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. They did pick up Sauce Gardner in that trade with the Jets. He recently got banged up. We wish him well. Hopefully he'll make a full recovery and come back soon. Defensively, I think the Colts have some work to do, particularly at the line of scrimmage in terms of getting to the quarterback. But we'll see how it plays out. The next team that I think is going to be a wild card contender in the AFC is the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to Josh Allen, breaking records every year, making it happen. Just an outstanding athlete. He can not only beat you with his arm, he can beat you with his legs. And that's a big man rumbling down towards the goal line. Good luck trying to stop him when he's determined to get in and get 6 points. So I still like what Buffalo is doing. I like their roster. They can run the football. They've got some outstanding tight ends, and they can beat you on the outside. They do have a good running game as well. So I think Buffalo, with their playoff experience, I think they're going to get in. They're not going to win the AFC East, but the Bills are still a team to be reckoned with. When they play mistake-free football and Josh Allen is at the top of his game, the Bills can play with anybody, and they can beat anybody, in my opinion. So Buffalo, despite being a wild card this year, they're a dangerous team. So don't sleep on the Bills. Sean McDermott is still doing a great job up there in New York State, and I love what they're doing in Buffalo. I love the culture. Shout out to Bills Mafia. I got to come pull up and come see y'all, and I'm not talking about B-dubs. I'm not talking about Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm talking about going up to the cold tundra up in Buffalo. I need to come pay y'all a visit and pull up and experience that culture firsthand. So I love their fan base. I love their passion. And I love what Buffalo has instilled with the fan base. And they're a dangerous team. So keep your eyes and your ears on Buffalo. They're still going to be viable, and they can win on the road. So it's not a big deal if Buffalo doesn't get home field advantage. They have enough experience, and they've got a good enough roster where they can knock any team off in the AFC. And last but not least, coming out of the AFC South, this will be the third team in that division that I think makes the postseason. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will make the postseason. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. Shout out to ETN. Shout out to Travis Hunter, who's been banged up, but he'll be back. And I think Jacksonville is a team to be reckoned with. They kind of, played a little bit inconsistent early in the year. I think they've gotten their stride under them recently. I like what they're doing. They're winning tight games. They're finding ways to win football games late. And that's a test of character, right? So I think that, Shad Khan, shout out to him, the great owner in Jacksonville. I like the culture. They've got one of the prettiest uniforms in the league. I had to switch gears real quick and give them love, with the helmets and the teal blue. I mean, the drip game is real down there in Duval County. I mean, I need a jersey or something, man. Who do I need to talk to down there in Jacksonville? Because y'all swag and your drip game is all the way official. But back to the Jags on the field. Trevor Lawrence, who I called out on this show last year with his inconsistent and up and down play, he's played well this year. I think he's made better decisions. He definitely has shown some growth. I like what Jacksonville's doing defensively. There's still some holes to fill. There is no complete roster in the league. But I think Jacksonville has some maturity. I think they can go on the road and play with anybody, particularly if they don't turn the ball over. But I like to see teams in these smaller markets, Duval, pull up, and show out. So big time love to the Jags. They're changing the culture down there, and I love what they're doing. Solomon, to be honest with you, I didn't expect the Jags at this point in the year to be not only viable for a wild card, but to be competing for the division. What are your thoughts on the growth in Jacksonville and what they're doing with Trevor Lawrence down there?
Well, like you said, he's always been pretty up and down. I'm still not fully convinced that, I don't know that the team has enough to get very far in the playoffs. But I know, it is sort of like a Cinderella team. I think people root for them pretty well. So we'll see. I mean, I don't have high hopes, but you say you think they'll make it in, then maybe that's what'll happen.
Well, the team that's going to be the odd man out, shout out to my man Justin Herbert. I worked with him a couple years ago. Shout out to SoFi Bank, national commercial. I think the Chargers are going to be the odd team out, and I'm going to tell you why. They went down to Jacksonville a couple weeks ago and got slaughtered. They got dominated by the Jags. They also lost to the Colts. So when you think about tiebreakers at the end of the year, when you think about the Chargers in the same conference, those are key losses that are going to come back to haunt Harbaugh and Herbert and those boys. I like the Chargers. I think they got a lot of potential, but they can't, for whatever reason, figure it out in terms of being consistent. One week, they're shining bright, shining like a diamond, right? And the next week, they're stinking up the joint. So I don't know what's going on in LA with them. I think they need to be a little bit more consistent. They need to win when it counts. They need to win big games. And they do have a good roster. I like what they're doing. Keenan Allen is back. Shout out to the wily veteran. He's always been one of my favorite wide receivers to watch. Justin Herbert continues to fight through injuries. He just recently had surgery on that left hand. So his status is questionable, up in the air when they play the Eagles on Monday night. But we'll see what happens in LA. Shout out to Harbaugh and the Chargers. I still think they don't get in. Those losses previously to the Colts and the Jags, unfortunately, are going to come back to haunt the Chargers. We're going to move on. We are going to the NFC, and shout out to the LA Rams. I think they land the number 1 seed in the NFC. Currently, the Bears, if the playoffs started today, are the number 1 seed. But back to the Rams and Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. He is in discussions for MVP candidate. I love what he's been able to do. Stafford's got to be close to 40 years old, right? Man, time flies when you're having fun. I love what he's been doing as a quarterback. He's been avoiding the injury bug. He's been playing well at the line of scrimmage. He stretches the field. He can throw the football with the best of them, and he's very deceptive too, because sometimes he's looking this way and he's throwing the football that way. And I'm like, how are you doing that? What magic tricks are you got up your sleeve, Stafford? Because for him to be almost a 40-year-old quarterback and playing at that level, you've got some great receivers, of course, to help you out with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Shout out to him. He's got some great speed on the outside. The Rams can run the football. Sean McVay, still a player's coach, still one of the best coaches in the league. The Rams are young, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I love what they do defensively. They can make some big plays and force key turnovers. I still believe, even though they had a hiccup in Carolina, it's not so much what the Rams did wrong. You got to give Bryce Young and the Panthers some credit. Under Canales, the Panthers are a viable team. These are grown men with pride. I say it every week. Any team can lose on any given day. So the Rams did turn the football over. Stafford had 2 interceptions. He had a key fumble late, which contributed to the loss. They're still 9-3. I like what they're doing. I think the Rams are going to finish at 12-5, and I think they're going to win the NFC West. Seattle will be right behind them, but I think the Rams are going to capture the number 1 seed in the NFC. But don't sleep on the Bears. Don't sleep on Seattle. And speaking of the Bears, we're going to the NFC North because I think the Packers are going to win that division with Jordan Love. Yes, I said it. Shout out to the Cheeseheads, my boy Rashad, who comes on this show frequently. I know you're watching, big dog. I'm rolling with Love and those boys to win the division. They're currently a game and a half behind the Bears. The Packers have 2 more games against Chicago and Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson, first-year coach with the Bears, came over from the Lions. I love what the Bears are doing. Caleb Williams is showing a level of growth on the field. He's playing much better. He's mitigating his mistakes. And the Bears defensively, I like what they're doing in the trenches. I like what they're doing at the line of scrimmage. They're getting to the quarterback. And their offensive line are pushing teams back. They dominated the line of scrimmage when they played the Eagles on Thanksgiving, the day after. It was a Black Friday for them birds because those boys could not hang with Chicago. So that is one of my surprise teams. No one, at least unless you live in the city of Chicago, I don't see anyone who expected the Bears after 12 weeks to be at 9-3. But they're playing great football. I like what they're doing. They're excited. They're hungry. There's a shift in the NFC North. I do believe that Green Bay will get it done and win that division. Defensively with the Packers, you got Micah Parsons, who came over from Dallas. The Packers can get to the quarterback. They can rush the passer just as good as any team in the league. They can not only run the football, but Jordan Love knows how to stretch the field. I like what they got on the outside. You got Josh Jacobs running the rock. He's the bell cow for the Packers. So I like what Green Bay is doing. Jordan Love has shown a lot of growth. Solomon, my question to you is, will that cheese be melted, molded, or will it be in high demand and high quality in the next 6 to 8 weeks? Can the Packers make a deep playoff run, and can they win the division? What do you think?
No.
That was a long hesitated
answer. I like Jordan Love. I just don't know that this is the same Packers team that, had the ability to dominate on demand. So there's too many good teams. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs for very long. I
Okay.
don't think so.
All right. We shall see how it plays out. I have more faith in Green Bay than my man Solomon does. Shout out to LaFleur and Love over there. That's the L and L connection. LaFleur and Love over there in Green Bay. We are going to move on, and we are going to head down to Florida. Shout out to Tampa Bay and the Bucks. Baker Mayfield, who's always cooking on and off the field. I love what he's doing. I love his tough, competitive spirit. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Bucks, who've been consistent the last few years. I like what they're doing under the leadership of Todd Bowles. Baker gets banged up, but he continues to fight. I have yet to see a quarterback. Not true. I've seen a couple quarterbacks, but there's very few quarterbacks that got that dog. I'm talking about with a capital D, that dog in them, where they're going to continue to fight till the very end, nail and tooth. Baker Mayfield will do anything it takes to lead his team to a victory. I love his leadership. I love his winning attitude. I love his drive. And he's the heart and soul of that Buccaneers team. And speaking of heart and soul, the key to Tampa Bay and their success, if they're going to try to make a deep playoff run, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Those legendary receivers on the outside. Bucky Irvin is also a key component of the Tampa Bay Bucks offense. Defensively, I think Tampa Bay will always stick around because you got the defensive mind of Todd Bowles, right? Who will have them playing at a high level. So I think the Buccaneers win the NFC South. The Falcons are nowhere close to winning. The Saints are basically the Aints. I'm sorry, I just got to keep it 100. That's what we do on this show. The Panthers aren't far behind the Bucks. I do like to see the competition in that division, but I think eventually Tampa Bay pulls out ahead. They're in first place as we speak, but I think they'll extend their lead over the next few weeks. I think they get it done, and the Bucks win that division over Carolina. We are going to move on, and we are going to move on to the NFC East. There's only two teams in the division that are worthy to talk about. No disrespect to the Giants. No disrespect to y'all, but y'all haven't been playing very good football. It's really a damn shame. But we must talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, who are a Jekyll and Hyde squad. Jalen Hurts, he's been hurting so bad lately. Not the John Cougar Mellencamp where it hurts so good, right? So the Eagles have been really up and down and inconsistent offensively. I don't know what's going on with Philly, but I just think that they don't have a level of confidence. And Jalen Hurts is missing a lot of open receivers. I can see why A.J. Brown has been frustrated at times. Devontae Smith has been open at times, and he's not getting the football out to them. And what happened to Saquon Barkley? What happened to Barkley? I mean, he had such a breakout year last year in his first year with the team. They're just not giving him the football enough. And when he gets the rock, he's not able to escape. He's not making the big plays like he did last year. So hopefully he'll get it figured out in Philly. But with the Commanders and the Giants in the basement, Dallas, who's been hot lately, they're currently sitting at 6-5-1. They had that one tie with the Packers. I think the Cowboys are going to make a late season push, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think they dug too deep of a hole early on. I think the Eagles will kind of limp to the finish line, but they'll win that division. But I don't have faith in them when they get into the playoffs. Will they be a Jekyll and Hyde team? Which Eagle team is going to show up? I think the Eagles have an early exit from the playoffs, and I predicted at the beginning of the year on this show, I thought that Philadelphia would go back and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Solomon, what are your thoughts in Philly, the city of brotherly love, with the Eagles? Because those birds ain't flying high lately. What's happening?
Yeah, I think I agree with you on this one. They had a shaky start to the season. Saquon Barkley's not doing what he did last year. And that could be because teams, plan for him. They tend to figure players out after a breakout year. So, I agree. I think they'll get in the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to go far after that.
It remains to be seen. Maybe they have a Super Bowl hangover, but nonetheless, Philly has been disappointing at times this year. Now, we're going to talk about the teams that are going to advance in terms of being wild cards. There's 3 teams that I personally feel are going to be basically securing that wild card berth. The first team I'm going to talk about is from the NFC West. We're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Shout out to Sam Darnold in Seattle. And I'll keep it real. I can't front. When Darnold came over from the Vikings, went all the way across country to the Pacific Northwest, I questioned the move. I didn't know if he was capable of having a breakout year 2 years in a row. But Sam Darnold, with the exception of the Rams game, where he threw 4 picks, and they still almost won that game, by the way, here in L.A., Sam Darnold has been playing great football. I like his poise in the pocket. I like his reads at the line of scrimmage. He's played well. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, shout out to him. He's been a beast on the outside. Seattle can run the football, but defensively is where they fly around the field. They can beat you at the line of scrimmage. They can get to the quarterback. And on the back end, the Seahawks play an aggressive style of football. They force a lot of turnovers. I like their speed. I like their physicality. So Seattle is a dangerous team. Don't sleep on the Hawks. Do not sleep on Seattle. I would not be surprised if there's a couple upsets where they make a deep playoff run and they knock off a few teams, because they've shown that they can win at home, but they don't mind traveling. They travel well, and I think the Seahawks are a team to be reckoned with. So don't sleep on Seattle. Speaking of sleeping, are you sleepless in Seattle, Solomon? What is your take on the Hawks? Talk to me. I talk back.
I haven't really paid much attention to them this year. I am surprised at Darnold's play, but Seattle's one of those just middle of the road teams. I mean, if you told me they weren't going to make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised. So, I don't really have any thoughts on Seattle. I don't think they're going to do anything this year.
Okay. We're going to stay in the NFC West, and we're going to shift to the Bay Area. Yay, area. Shout out to 41 to E40. What's up, player partner? The San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to the Niners and Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and Jennings and Mike Shanahan. I love what they're doing in the Bay Area. The Niners, surprisingly, are 8-4. And no one saw that coming. I certainly didn't see it, particularly when Brock Purdy was lost to injury. He missed 6 games with that toe injury. Mac Jones came in off the bench and filled in admirably for the 49ers. I love what Mac Jones was able to do in terms of, cultivating the offense, showing some veteran leadership, and winning some key football games. I love what Mike Shanahan has done as a coach and making adjustments, because this has probably been one of his most challenging years based on all the injuries. No Brandon Ayuk. He's still out from last year with that torn ACL. And the Niners have been getting it done. Kittle is still balling. McCaffrey is still relevant. Purdy's been kind of flirty with turning the ball over. So he has made some mistakes. No one is perfect, but do I trust Brock Purdy in key situations to get it done? I think the jury is still out on him. He has yet to show me completely, with the exception of his rookie campaign where he led them to the Super Bowl. I can't front. The man can play. He is worthy of a starting quarterback position in the league. But the verdict is still out on Purdy in terms of, can he win in big game situations? Can he minimize the mistakes and make the right plays at the right time? I don't have 100% faith in him as of yet. So we shall see how that plays out. And the final team in the NFC, coming out of the North, that I think is going to clinch a wild card berth, is the Chicago Bears. We're back in the North. Shout out to Chi-Town, the Windy City. I still got to come see y'all. Yes, I'm from New York, and it's a damn shame I've never been to Chicago. If I go for one reason and one reason only, I need to come pull up and have some of that pizza, because I hear it's off the chain, right? So all y'all Chicagoans watching the show, tap in with me on the gram. Let me know what it is. I'm going to come meet. Pizza on me, okay? You heard? But the Bears, Caleb Williams, definitely elevating his level of play, showing a lot of growth, a lot of maturity. I love the winning culture that Ben Johnson has instilled in the Bears coming over from Detroit. So the Chicago Bears have been playing well offensively. They're running the football. Caleb Williams is mitigating his mistakes. He's showing leadership. He's showing growth. He's showing maturity. He's got a great arm. He's got one of the best and strongest arms in the league. This kid can play football. So I like what Chicago is doing defensively. I like what the Bears are doing. They're flying around. They're making plays. And offensively, in the trenches at the line of scrimmage, the Bears have been dominating the line of scrimmage, particularly in the last few games. That was displayed heavily when they played the Eagles, and we're pushing the Eagles back 3 to 5 yards every play. So they can run the football down your throat. They can mix it up with play action. I like what Chicago's doing. They don't have enough, to me, to win the division. I still think the Packers are going to win that division, but it's going to be a tight race. So that remains to be seen. But shout out to the Bears. I like what they're doing in the Windy City. Solomon, what are your thoughts on Chicago and first-year head coach Ben Johnson? Do you think the Bears have enough to not only make the playoffs, maybe, but to knock somebody off in the postseason?
Yes, and I agree. I disagree. I think the Bears.
That's a confident yes.
I think the Bears will win that division. I mean, listen, you can't talk NFL without the Chicago Bears.
The history.
It's just everything. I mean, that's just a team that you want to root for. And, they had their glory days, and they haven't really been particularly good. But you always want to root for the Bears. And when the Bears are winning, that's just real NFL to me. And I know I'm being a historian. I'm not so much on what the team's doing now. I'm very happy with what Caleb Martin is doing, because people were counting him out.
Caleb Williams,
I'm sorry. They were counting him out early on. And I'm happy, him coming from USC too. That's my school. Just happy to see what he's doing. So that team is coming along well. I think they're going to win the division. I can't say how far they'll go in the playoffs, but the Bears represent football. That's just a team you got to root for.
Well, we shall see how it plays out. Shout out to both conferences, all the teams in the AFC and the NFC. And we are going to talk some news and notes in the National Football League. And we are going to land first and foremost in Cleveland. And I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders and that situation in Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski. They finally are giving this kid a chance to play under center. His first game as an NFL starter, he was the first Browns quarterback in damn near 20 years to win his first start in the NFL. I love what Shedeur Sanders is instilled in Cleveland. I know it's just been a small sample size, but I love his enthusiasm. I love his drive. I think he's shown a lot of growth and maturity. I think he has a level of athleticism where he can get it done. He can make plays. He's still got a lot of growing pains. He's still got room to grow. He's going to make some mistakes. But I think, honestly, with their roster, he gives the Browns the best chance to win football games. We've only seen 2 games. The 49er game, he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't turn the football over. However, the Browns did make a lot of mistakes on special teams and going for it on 4th down and fumbling the football. But Shedeur Sanders, shout out to you for being a young king and being a leader. I think you've got a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see over the last 5 games of the year what Shedeur can do for that roster and how he plays on the field. I'm not a fan of Kevin Stefanski. I think he's gone after this year. I don't think he's really supported Shedeur properly. He didn't give the man, after his first win in Vegas, he didn't give the man his game ball. I'm like, damn. Rookie quarterback gets the win, plays well, throws for almost 200 yards, has a touchdown, has 1 pick, made a lot of big plays, and you don't even acknowledge him literally in the locker room. So I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I think Cleveland needs to find a head coach. But I think they've found a quarterback for the future, but the jury is still out. It remains to be seen. Any thoughts on Shedeur Sanders and his potential development, Solomon? And tell me what you've seen thus far. It's a small sample size, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he looks like a rookie quarterback. I don't necessarily see anything special, but that's the unfortunate thing, because he has such a spotlight on him that people are going to have expectations that he's supposed to come in like LeBron James came into the NBA and just, make a team better. And the reality is he's got talent, but he needs to be brought along like any other quarterback. So the interesting thing, though, in Cleveland is now they've got Deshaun Watson coming off of injury. And he's able to practice with the team, and they've got 14 days to do something with him, whether it's release him or whatever. So I don't know if they've already promised Shedeur that he's going to start rest of the year, but that'll be an interesting situation for them to have.
Right. Well, we shall see how it plays out. I do want to pivot and go back to the NFC West and talk about the 49ers. I know Mike Vrabel deserves Coach of the Year consideration for the turnaround in New England, but I got to give Mike Shanahan some love in the Bay Area and what he's been able to do with the 49ers. I mean, for that team to be 8-4 going into Week 14 with all the injuries, all the challenges, much love and respect to Mike Shanahan and what he's been able to do. Excuse me, Kyle Shanahan, not your daddy. I'm a big fan of Mike, though. Shout out to him, former Broncos coach. But much love and respect to Kyle Shanahan and what he's been able to do for the 49ers organization, showing a level of growth and leadership, dealing with so many injuries throughout the course of the year. And the 49ers are still playing at a high level. I think they don't sleep on them boys in the Bay Area, because I think they're a dangerous team.
Absolutely.
Especially if Purdy can minimize the mistakes. Defensively, they got a lot of young players who can fly around the football. They can, force a lot of turnovers. But if they can get the running game with McCaffrey going, stretch the field with Kittle and Jennings on the outside, I think the 49ers are viable. And who knows? I think they get in as a wild card. We may see an upset as well coming out of Frisco. But I just had to give Kyle Shanahan some love. Shout out to Kyle Shanahan and what he's been able to do with the 49ers. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye. Episode 65 is in the books. And don't forget to tap in and follow your boy Mack B on the gram. At Mack B, MACKB as in boy _ at Sports Hop Media. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Follow the movement here at Sports Hop. Episode 65 is in the books. It's your boy Mack B checking out. My boy Solomon is in the building. Holla! Thanks for watching Sports Hop. For all the latest news on hip hop and sports, subscribe here and keep it locked. It's your boy Mack B.